Hi guys. Thanks for joining today. So I'll be presenting the community update from the European side. So as Matt already mentioned, here in Europe, we are very happy to not only have the private action, but also be supported by the European Union with some public funding. So I'll split my talk or my update in two parts. So one part talking about the public action and what things we have achieved, and one part talking about the private action and things we are doing there currently. So let's just start with the public part, which is the ROS I project. For those of you guys who don't know about the ROS I project, as I said, so this is funded by the EU to kind of enforce the EU's strong role in the ROS industrial community, or actually help that, and by doing so foster Europe's expertise in advanced manufacturing. And so the project has been running since 2017 and will continue to run until the end of this year. In total, we had 8 million euros of funding. Well, the goal here was, so typically the European research projects were something that built something new, and the goal here in the project was to build on something that exists, so the ROS ecosystem. And this way, I think we are quite sure that what we have achieved in this project will live on after the project end. So the key actions that we are focusing on in ROS I is to make ROS better, business friendlier, and more accessible to everyone. Plus one, let's say, extra goal or side goal is also to cluster other public funding activities that we have in the EU or the nations in the EU around this project. So for example, the ROS project, OFERA with MicroROS, ZeroNet, which is similar to ROS, but a nationally funded project. So in both of those projects, the focus is on model-driven development for robotics. And recently we've had another addition, which is the AgroFood project, which focuses a little bit more in the agricultural sector, but is also strongly enforcing the ROS ecosystem in total. So what is ROS I? What are we doing there to make ROS better? So this focuses mostly on software quality, as Matt already said. So we have a strong focus there. So one thing is, so we have already the ROS industrial best practices and tools available, such as continuous integration with industrial CI, unit testing and code reviews, etc. And actually, what ROS I does is actually extend on these tools with, for example, code scanning, automated test generation, bug fixing, etc. So if you want to know more about that, just go on our homepage and you'll find a lot of information there. To make ROS more business friendly, ROS I had a huge amount of funding for third parties available, in total 3.5 million euros to build new components for ROS. Actually, the 3.5 million were only 30% of the funding. So if a company built a new component, they had to take over 70% of the funding. So in total, we could say we certainly had a little bit more than 10 million euros flowing into ROS by these projects, by these FTPs. So the sad thing is that right now there's no further opportunities to get this funding. So the last call was actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was in October last year. So I'm sorry to say so, but what is probably very interesting is all the results that we have, or that we are still working on. So all the projects that we have there, to revisit them, and probably you'll find something that is interesting for you. So just check out our homepage there. I'll also go over some highlights later on in this presentation. And to make ROS more accessible, what we are doing in ROS I is actually to do education, to teach people how to use ROS. So there we have ROS I summer schools, for example, for students, or the ROS I Academy to educate professionals. Another thing that we did is educate or fund also education projects. So for other organizations to build up some, well, their own education initiatives. So that's also something that we're doing in ROS I. So next step would be talking a little bit about the latest highlights. So we are proud to announce that actually we are currently funding the Move It effort to port to Move It to ROS II. So we are also going to hear about that later today. And another thing I think which is also quite interesting for the ROS industrial community is that we are also funding work on ROS control for ROS II. So the goal is to deliver a complete version by the end of the project. Actually, that effort is led by Palo Robotics. And I mean, if you see these two projects, it's quite clear that this is actually a very good start to building industrial robot drivers in the future for ROS II actually. But this is not all the projects. Sorry, this is not all the projects that we have been funding. So there's really a lot of projects, FTPs that were done in ROS I or are still active. So just check out the results page. And there's, for most of them, there's already a link with initial results or what has actually been achieved. So typically it's open source, so just go there and check it out. In terms of education projects, there has also been a strong effort in the ROS I project. This is also still ongoing. So we have actually set up about 15 third-party ROS education projects around Europe. So we are quite hopeful that this will also help educating professionals and students around Europe to kind of, well, spread the ROS also in industry more and in universities also. Next slide would be switching to the private action, so the ROS industrial action that we have ongoing here in Europe. So what have we been working there, or what have we been doing there? So since I think the end of last year, we've been actually building up a new ROS II curriculum for our ROS II trainings. And we had our first training in February this year already for ROS II with I think 16 or 17 participants. And yeah, so that was quite a success. The problem was that then Corona hit us and physical trainings were no longer possible. So since then we have been working actually on bringing these materials to the online realm. And yeah, we are also going to have our first ROS II trainings as online version in July. So you're welcome to join there. One further announcement that I can do or make right here is that we are also planning to open source this training material, probably in 2 or 3 months, so that all of you guys can profit of them and maybe also build your own training around that. So in Europe, also the training for ROS I hasn't stopped. So there's a lot of companies or organizations providing trainings already. So one of our ROS industrial partners, for example, PILS, is providing ROS training for ROS programming. TU Delft is also providing, and several others, some of them coming from the ROS I project. So if you are looking for training, there's a lot of opportunities in Europe actually. So our ROS II developers training at Fraunhofer IPA is going to take place. The next one is going to take place in July from 14th to 17th. It's going to be an online training. We are not yet, we have not yet switched to AWS, so we're still stuck with the virtual machine, but I think that will also work for most of us. And as you can see, there's also quite many ROS developer trainings, so not the ROS II version. For example, one taking place in July, organized by also ROS I partner or by PILS. So if you need more information or want to take part in one of these trainings, just contact me. I can give you the details. And so if you don't want to do a training for professionals, then well, there's also a very excellent MOOC, which is probably also good for professionals in the end, which is organized by TU Delft. Also, if you want more information on that and want to take part in that, you can either contact me or maybe Heis from TU Delft. In terms of further activities that we have ongoing in the consortium, as I think Matt and Eric already mentioned, there's the World ROS I Day upcoming on July 7th. So we're looking forward to that and hope to meet a lot of you guys then. Plus, we also have this REP proposition for the Cartesian trajectory interface that Felix is going to present right after me. Internally here at Fraunhofer IPA, we are currently heavily working on support for the OPC-UA robotics specification, and are hoping to publish that quite soon. So this is actually quite interesting effort, I think. So it will bring us much closer to the industrial robots that we have. And finally, we also have created a package recently for the VDA 5050 standard with messages for the standard, which you can check out under the link that is displayed here, which enables you to connect to, in a standardized way, to connect to the planning instance for transportation robots in the end. And one thing I also wanted to mention is this success story that we have recently posted on the ROS Industrial blog about the DHL street scooter. So it's a quite interesting read, and all the materials are also open sourced. So if you're interested in autonomous navigation with ROS, I would say it's maybe a must read. So just check it out. And yeah, I think that's already everything that I wanted to say about activities. And now we're going to switch to another topic. So we are currently also seeing some staff changes here at Fraunhofer IPA, which is also why I'm presenting today. But I'll give over the word to Thilo, who's here with me today, who can explain a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. I had 2 very extraordinary years supporting the ROS industrial community here in Europe. I really enjoyed it a lot. Nevertheless, it's time for me to move on. And I worked with Christoph for more than 3 years in a robot project and other projects. Christoph is group manager here for a year. And now we're in a transition phase, and I kind of hand over the robotic ROS industrial project to Christoph. Thank you very much. I will keep the community spirit with me, and I will move. My next job is in the Ministry of Science, Research and Culture here in Baden-Württemberg, and maybe I can push the open source spirit in that ministry, and I hope we get we stay in contact on the one or the other way, social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, or whatever. I hope to see you soon at some point in reality. Otherwise, thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. And Christoph, good luck with the ROS Industrial Consortium. It's great people.
Thanks, Thilo. And thanks for the great work before. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so that's essentially everything from our side today, I would say. And yeah, so if you have questions or anything, then we are here for you.